What drives a person to commit the most heinous acts again and again? Today, we delve into the chilling realm of serial killers. This is a realm where the unthinkable becomes reality, where the line between sanity and madness blurs, and where lives are taken without remorse. Serial killers, a phrase that sends shivers down our spines, a term synonymous with the very worst of humanity. But what exactly defines a serial killer? It's a person who commits a series of murders, often with no apparent motive, and following a characteristic predictable behavior pattern. Yet what propels them to this horrifying path? Various psychological factors play a role. Some might be driven by a need for control, others by a deep-seated anger, and some by a twisted pleasure derived from inflicting pain. These individuals are real-life monsters, their actions echoing through time and instilling fear in the hearts of many. Join us as we step back in time to chronologically explore some of the most notorious serial killers that have ever lived. Our journey begins in the late 19th century with a man known as Jack the Ripper. A name that still sends shivers down our spine. Jack the Ripper was an unidentified serial killer, active in the impoverished areas around the Whitechapel district of London in 1888. His victims were women from the lowest rungs of society, brutally murdered and mutilated in the dead of night. Though many suspects have been named over the years, the true identity of Jack the Ripper remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. But while the world was transfixed by the horrors unfolding in London's foggy alleyways, across the Atlantic, another monster was making his mark. America's first documented serial killer, H.H. Holmes. Holmes was a man of many faces, a doctor, a pharmacist, a businessman, and a charming gentleman. But beneath this polished exterior lurked a cold-blooded killer. Holmes built a 3-story building in Chicago, dubbed the Murder Castle, designed for his gruesome pastime. With hidden passages, soundproof rooms, and a basement equipped for dissection and cremation, it was a macabre playground where he carried out his heinous acts. Holmes confessed to 27 murders, though only 9 could be confirmed. The actual number? That could be anywhere from 20 to 200. Despite their geographical separation, Jack the Ripper and H.H. Holmes were eerily similar. Both were cunning, elusive, and had a chilling disregard for human life. They exploited the vulnerabilities of their victims and the societal norms of their time, leaving a trail of terror that has echoed through the decades. But what do these early serial killers tell us? They reveal that these monsters are not a modern phenomenon, but a dark part of our past. They show us that beneath the veneer of civilization, there can lurk unimaginable horrors. And they remind us that the human capacity for evil can be as boundless as it is chilling. As we leave the 19th century behind, the 20th century awaits with even more horrifying tales. Welcome to the 20th century, an era that witnessed the rise of some of the most infamous serial killers. Let's start with Ted Bundy, a name that sends shivers down the spine even today. Bundy was a law student with a charming personality, a stark contrast to the monster that lay beneath. He is believed to have committed over 30 homicides in the span of 4 years, across 7 states. Bundy's method was as horrifying as his crimes. He would often feign injury or disability to win the trust of his victims before overpowering and kidnapping them. Next comes the nightmarish figure of John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown. Gacy was a respected member of his community, running a successful construction business and volunteering as a clown at children's hospitals. But beneath this facade, Gacy was a ruthless predator who preyed on young boys. He was convicted for the murder of 33 young men and boys, all of whom he lured into his home with promises of work or simply by impersonating a police officer. Then there's the Zodiac Killer, a serial killer who became infamous not just for his crimes, but also for his taunting letters to the press. Operating in Northern California in the late 60s and early 70s, the Zodiac Killer claimed to have taken the lives of at least 5 individuals, although he boasted of many more. He would then send cryptic letters to local newspapers, offering clues to his identity and mocking the authorities' inability to catch him. These killers, each in their own twisted way, instilled a sense of terror that permeated society during this time. The 20th century was, indeed, a golden age for serial killers, a period when monsters walked among us, hidden behind the masks of ordinary men. As we move forward in time, the face of serial killing begins to change. The turn of the century brought with it a new breed of killers, ones who utilized technology to their advantage. In the digital age, murderers have evolved, becoming more elusive and cunning. Consider the BTK killer, Dennis Rader, who who terrorized Wichita, Kansas, for over 2 decades. He was a master of deception, playing a chilling game of cat and mouse with law enforcement. Rader would taunt the police and local media with letters detailing his crimes, using a typewriter to avoid handwriting analysis. He even sent a floppy disk to a television station, a crucial mistake that eventually led to his capture, demonstrating the double-edged sword of technology in the hands of such individuals. Then there's the infamous Green River Killer Gary Ridgway, who claimed the lives of nearly 50 women in Washington state. Ridgway used the anonymity of the burgeoning internet to lure his victims, often posing as a friendly stranger in chat rooms. His ability to blend into the digital crowd kept him hidden in plain sight for nearly 20 years. These men highlight a disturbing trend: the integration of technology into the modus operandi of serial killers. They manipulated the tools meant to connect us, to isolate their victims, and to shield themselves from suspicion. It's a chilling reminder that as our world becomes more connected, it also provides new avenues for the darkest corners of humanity to exploit. As we delve deeper into the 21st century, it's important to remember that these killers are not merely figures of the past. They're adapting, evolving, and learning to navigate this digital world just as we are. It's a constant battle of wits between these modern monsters and those who seek to bring them to justice. Perhaps the most terrifying aspect is the realization that these killers could be anyone. They could be your neighbor, your coworker, even a friend. They hide behind the screen, their true nature obscured by the anonymity of the internet. As we've seen, the world of serial killers is a dark and terrifying place. Now that we've explored some of the most notorious serial killers, let's delve into the minds that drive such horrifying acts. Behind the chilling acts of serial killers lies a complex tapestry of psychological factors. It's not a single trait or event that shapes these individuals, but a confluence of elements, often rooted deep within their psyche. One of the most common traits is psychopathy. Psychopaths lack empathy and remorse, allowing them to commit heinous acts without the moral qualms that would stop most of us. They're often charming and manipulative, using these traits to lure victims or evade detection. Narcissism is another common trait. These individuals possess an inflated sense of self-importance and entitlement, often viewing others as merely objects to be used for their own satisfaction. This objectification allows them to dehumanize their victims, making it easier for them to kill. Serial killers also frequently exhibit signs of antisocial personality disorder. This includes a disregard for the rights of others and societal norms, impulsivity, and persistent irresponsibility. This disorder often manifests in childhood and escalates in severity over time. Many serial killers have also experienced significant trauma in their early lives. This can include physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, neglect, or the loss of a parent. Such experiences can distort their perception of the world and other people, pushing them onto a path of violence. It's important to remember, however, that these traits and experiences don't invariably lead to serial killing. Many people experience trauma or possess these personality traits without ever harming others. The combination, frequency, and intensity of these factors, coupled with certain environmental triggers, can lead to such extreme behavior. Critically, understanding these psychological elements can provide valuable insights for prevention and intervention strategies. By identifying and addressing these issues early on, we may be able to steer potential offenders onto a healthier path. Understanding the minds of these individuals might help to prevent such heinous crimes in the future. Serial killers have haunted our nightmares and gripped our fascination for centuries. As we journeyed from the birth of serial killers, through their golden age and into the realm of modern monsters, we've seen how these individuals, these predators, have evolved with time. In each era, we've witnessed the birth of new horrors, each more chilling than the last. We've met killers who were products of their environment, and those who seemingly emerged from the shadows, their motivations as inscrutable as they were terrifying. The psychology behind these killers is a labyrinth of dark corners and hidden depths. It's a chilling reminder of how complex and enigmatic the human mind can be, and how in some cases it can manifest in the most horrifying ways. Serial killers are not just figures of the past, they are a present reality, a modern monster lurking in the shadows. As we continue to study these individuals, one can only hope that we can use this knowledge to prevent such horrors from occurring again.